If you're considering doing RTT therapy training, I suggest that you do watch this video, because in this video I'm going to share with you 5 key things that you need to think about, have really thought through before you make that really important decision. So I'm going to share with you 5 things here, and in my next video I'm going to share with you another 5 points. So please do subscribe to my channel to make sure that you get the notification, the alert when I've got that next video ready. So you've got the whole 10 points and you know exactly what you need to think through before making that really big, important and possibly life-changing decision. So I'm Jonathan Butler from My Fit Mind. I was one of the earliest people trained in RTT therapy. I've been working full-time as an RTT therapist since 2019, and I've worked with around 3,000, probably more than that, people now in my time as a therapist, and I've helped a lot of other people to guide them and mentor them to be successful in their business. So I want to share today with you my perspective of the key things that you need to think about. It's a great thing. I have absolutely no regrets about my choice going back there in 2018 to train to do this, but it's not for everybody, and there are important things that you need to think about. So, and the first thing really that you need to think about, the most important thing, is why are you doing this? What is your motivation for doing this? Now, I know a lot of us want to get out of something. We're looking for something else. We're looking for something different, more exciting, whatever it may be. But if you want to be an RTT therapist or in any kind of similar therapy, any similar area where you are about making a difference in people's lives, the absolute number one thing that you need to be committed to doing is you want to help other people. You really have to feel like you've got a calling, a mission, a strong desire to help other people to live their best lives. That is really incredibly important. That has got to be your number one thing. Now, there are many other sub-benefits of being an RTT therapist, or potential sub-benefits of it. So you can earn good money, and I'll talk about the possibilities of that later on in the video. You can have a flexible lifestyle. You can work when you want, where you are. You can work on your own terms, and you can maybe combine it with other things. So there are lots of great benefits of doing this, but don't be driven by the money. Don't be driven by the idea you can work at home. Don't be driven by the flexibility to work the hours you want. Those are great things. But the key thing you've got to want to have is to really want to do this, to like working with people, to want to help people overcome those problems that you're dealing with. So that's really the most important thing. Okay, so what's the second thing? The second thing is that you need to be in a good enough place to do this training. Now, what do I mean by that? So this is really important, because this is fantastic work. It is incredibly rewarding. It's incredibly fulfilling, and really there is no greater happiness, if you like, satisfaction that you can get outside of your immediate personal life than working with people who are sharing with you their successes, how they've overcome fears, phobias, how they've been able to become pregnant, how they've got over their addictions, whatever it is. It's just like incredibly rewarding seeing that you've played a part in working with them to help them do that. So it's really rewarding work, but it's not easy work. It is not easy work. It is not for everyone, and you do need to be in a good enough place. Now, many people who are attracted to RTT are people who are on a healing journey, or who've got their own issues. So maybe if you've grown up being very anxious, or you've grown up around, or you've been in a relationship with narcissistic abuse, you want to help others to get out of that situation, to deal with those things, to improve their life. And that's a really good reason to do it. But you've got to be at the right point on that journey where your interest in that matches with your energy, your ability, your strength to do that. So you don't need to be healed, okay? You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be like in the absolute perfect place to help other people, but you do need to be in a good enough place to be on a trajectory, okay? So I've heard other people talk about this in their videos about don't do this to heal yourself. Now, I don't totally agree with that, because during the RTT training, you can do a lot of healing yourself, certainly do a lot of understanding yourself. You can do a lot of self-improvement because you're learning these techniques and you're practicing and working with other people where you can fix things, where you can improve things, where you can grow your strength, your confidence, your resilience, all of those things. You can absolutely do that. But you need to come into it on a point where you are in a good enough place. You're not the finished item, but you're feeling good. You're feeling that you've got the energy, the strength, the resilience to make that difference. So once you get to that level, RTT can help you accelerate. You will grow on that journey. I know in my own journey, the way I came into it was I had a number of issues that I was dealing with. I happened to be recommended to somebody who did RTT. I thought, let's give it a go. I've tried everything else. Let's see if this worked. And it was game changing for me. It was life changing for me. Just one session of RTT, and I was seeing things clearly. I was having a different perspective. It was like a whole fog had been lifted from what was going on in front of my face. My whole view of the world was just so different. And that got me in the place where I hadn't intended it, but I suddenly had that thought which said, why don't I do that? Why don't I train to be an RTT therapist? I got myself already in a good place where I was feeling good. I was in a growth mode. I was in that positive trajectory, but I certainly wasn't the finished item. I certainly needed other things to work on. And as I went through the training, a lot of it is about practicing with other people, particularly if you do what they call the live training, where you build that network. And I did a lot of sessions helping other people and other people helping me to build our skills, but also fixing ourselves as we went. So before doing the training, if you don't feel you're in that place, do RTT therapy. Have RTT therapy sessions with an RTT therapist, because it will get you into a good enough place. You might need 1, 2, possibly 3 sessions, depending on what's going on for you. But for a lot of people, I find they only need 1 session, maybe 2 sessions to really get themselves into that pretty good enough place to make that leap. So do the therapy to get yourself in a good place, but also it will really help inform your decision as to whether you want to train to do that. Because if it works for you, you're going to see the power of it, and when you see the power of it, you're going to believe in it. You're going to be an advocate for it. You're going to see the possibilities of how it can help somebody else. And that is really, really compelling, because in any walk of life, anything you do in your life, if you really believe in the thing that you're doing, because you've experienced it, you've been through that experience, you've been that user, you're better placed to help other people, and your knowledge, your enthusiasm, your confidence that this can help people, that you can help people, will really shine through. So do the therapy. There's plenty of good therapists out there. It's something I do quite regularly with people who are thinking of doing the therapy. So if you wanted to have that conversation with me, check the link below. I offer a free call for that, where we can look at what were the key things for you to work on to get yourself in that good place to be ready to do the training, or to consider doing the training if you decide that you want to do that. But it's really important that you are in that good place. Okay, so that's point number 2. And the third point is money. Okay, now I said before, do this because you want to help people. And I'm a big believer that whatever you do in life, if you do something that you're passionate about, if you do something that you care about, you are going to be successful at it. You're highly likely to be successful at it. And if you're successful at it, you will make a good living from it. Now, being an RTT therapist, you are highly unlikely to become a millionaire or a billionaire. So if that's your goal, this is probably not the right thing for you. But you can make a good living from it. People are making good 6-figure earnings from this, or making far less than that, but earning what they want to meet their needs, to meet their lifestyle. So you can make a good living from doing it, but don't be driven by it. I'd say in lots of ways it's easier to make a good living as an RTT therapist than in other types of hypnotherapy. That's my personal opinion. And there are 2 reasons for that. One is that the brand of RTT is pretty strong. It's growing all the time. People generally know what it is, people know what hypnotherapy is, but the brand of RTT positions RTT above more, if you like, unbranded or kind of less known brands of hypnotherapy. And RTT therapy, because of the reputation, because it is a slightly different modality, what people pay and what you can charge is significantly higher than what most regular hypnotherapists are charging. So you can earn a good living from this, okay? But don't be driven by the money. You can make a good living, but like any new business, it's going to take time, okay? Now, if you're maybe already working as a counsellor, as some sort of therapist, if you've got a client base, a wellness business, maybe where you could add this on to this, again, do it for the right reasons. Do it because you see the power of this to help you. So I've had therapists and counsellors who come to me who said, I want to add this to my portfolio because I see that this can make a bigger difference more quickly to people. So it helps their business, but the primary driver is to make that difference for people. So that always needs to be the driver. That is really, really very important. It's critical, in fact. But you can make that good living from it you can make that living, obviously, if you've already got an established business which is related to this. If it's something you can bolt on to that, it's going to make it easier to establish that business. The fourth point I'd like to discuss with you, and that you really need to think about, is the subject of previous experience. And this builds a little bit on what I was talking about just now in terms of how it's obviously easier to scale your business and to get your RTT therapy business going if you're working in something that's related, where this is like a bolt-on to it, where it's working with the same clients or same kind of people, where you're already established basically in a related field. And you're probably aware, if you've seen some of the Marissa Peer marketing, that they talk about and they claim that you don't need any previous experience. So I'd just like to talk that through a little bit. So I had no previous experience of doing this. My background was in sales and marketing, working many years, more than I'd like to admit to, in the tech and consulting industries. So that was actually quite helpful for me, because clearly what I understood very well was, how do you build a business? How do you grow a business? How do you do sales and marketing? But I had no background in therapy as such, other than as a receiver of it, and being someone who was interested in the subject of psychology. So I had no background in it, and I'm here today. But what I would say is that obviously it's easier. You know, if you're a doctor, I've had people come to me who are doctors and want to add this on to what they do, who are counsellors, who are life coaches, all of those kind of things, then this can slot on easily, because you're building on something that's already established. But really that could apply to anything. You know, if you're doing a new venture, if you're learning something new, building a new business, it's going to take time. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take a bit of patience. It's going to take some realism, that it takes a little bit of time to build up. And it also does require you to get the right people around you and the right support around you. But that's not unique to RTT. So I would definitely agree with the principle that you don't need to have any previous experience. You just need to have a passion for this, a desire to help people, because the training is very, very good. I'll talk about that more in a moment. And it's also delivered in a way that you don't need any previous training. It's one of the things I really like about the training is, whereas a lot of things around psychology, psychotherapy, any medical related things can be quite dry and kind of taught in a very academic way, RTT training, certainly for me, I found that it was very practical. It was very much talked about in clear concepts that I think anybody with a reasonable level of intellect, you don't need to be a brain surgeon, but I think most people with a passion, with an interest, could learn, could understand, could get to grips with. It's not full of alphabet soups, it's not full of all these acronyms, it's not full of lots of technical phrases and training. It's focused upon understanding the mind, understanding how people work, teaching people practical techniques for moving forward, learning the methodology. So yeah, obviously, if you've got that experience, great. If you haven't, you absolutely can make it, but recognize it is like starting any other business. It takes time, focusing on the right things. It takes a certain amount of focus and resilience, and you need to make sure you're surrounding yourself with good people and good support to get there quicker than you would without those things around you. So yeah, you absolutely can learn this and you can be successful, and I'd like to think I'm living proof of that. I didn't have the background in that field, but other things helped me, like I did have the background on the business side of things, so I was able to get my business working for me pretty quickly, and been able to help other people to do that as well, because a lot of people who are therapists or who want to be therapists maybe don't have a business background, who don't have any experience or any interest even in things like marketing and some of the things we need to do to grow and run a business. So the final point for this video, number 5, remember there's another video to come with another 5 points on, so if you haven't already, do subscribe. And the 5th point is about how good is the training. A lot of people ask me, how good is the training? And you may have seen I've done a video where I talk about comparing Marissa Peer and Paul McKenna, both really great, very credible trainings, but in my opinion different in their approaches, but talking particularly about the RTT therapy training. Now bearing in mind I did mine 6-7 years ago, and it's evolved from then, I know, and I'm sure it's even better now, and will have addressed some of the things that could have done probably with some work then, because I was on, I think, the second course that was ever done. It was evolving. I was like an early adopter of it, but my experience has been that the training is extremely thorough. Okay, they will teach you all that you need to know to be able to go out and be an RTT therapist. It's taught in a logical, sequential way, depending on which modality you choose, in terms of you do it all online or do you do it online and part in person. It goes through a process where you start at the beginning, understanding what you need to know about the field, key things you need to understand about the mind, about psychology, about how people think. So some really good, interesting background there. Lots of information as well. Lots of suggested reading, suggested things to watch, things to learn and understand, to really grow your knowledge about the mind, about psychology, about the broader field of therapy. Good introduction to the techniques and the principles of hypnosis, but then really taking you through the method. You will be taught the method of RTT therapy in terms of the methodology, the steps within that, the tools within that. And I found, because it was mainly taught with videos, with webinars, with some notes, I found it really easy to follow. I found it really interesting. It was not at all dry. So I'm not someone who's very good at sitting through courses, listening to things, but I was really gripped by it. I could spend hours at a time really gripped and enthralled on it. So for me, I thought that was great. I do really recommend, if you can, that you do the live training, which is basically a combination of the online training and doing some of it in person as well. And while you can learn all of it from the online, for me the live was really helpful to go that extra level in terms of being with people where you could really test your knowledge, where you could be put under the right amount, a positive amount of pressure to perform and be tested in that group environment, but also for building a network. So one of the best things for me of that was being in a group of like-minded people, going through the same things, learning together, overcoming the same challenges together, building friendships, building professional relationships. And still to this day, I'm connected with a lot of those people, but particularly in the early days, we really helped each other a lot. And you may remember I talked earlier about that, how you can grow, how you can continue your healing journey while you're doing your training. And that was certainly true for that. So in the early months of doing my training, we would do, with other colleagues, we'd do training with each other. And again, I know with what people did for me, I got major breakthroughs in other challenges, other sort of layers of the onion, if you like, of my personal development. Massive breakthroughs from working with my colleagues, and I'd like to think that I was able to help them as well overcome some big breakthroughs and peel that onion for them to help them on their journey. So the training in that sense is very good. If you can do it in person for the networking, for that personal touch, I'd say that's a really, really valuable and important thing to do. It's a great couple of weeks, or whatever the timing is for it now, to do that in-person part of it. You'll work hard, you'll make some great friendships for life, and you will really learn, and you'll come out of that feeling good, feeling equipped. Now, obviously, not everybody gets accredited, gets approved at that stage. Some people will need to come back and do more. Maybe didn't need to do some further learnings, further proof. But that again is a good thing, because again, what I found was there was very much an emphasis upon getting everybody over the line, recognising that everybody's maybe at a different stage of their learning, of their journey, of where they come from in terms of their background. But there was very much a focus upon getting everybody who's committed to doing the work, to get them to be successful, to get them to be ready to do the work, and not leaving anybody behind. So again, it was a bit like what I said earlier about being in the right place. So when you start your training, you need to be a certain way along the line. When you do the live training, you need to be a certain way along the line in terms of understanding about what it is, but you don't need to be the finished perfect item. They will work with you whatever stage you're at to get you where you want to get to, as long as you are, you want to be there, you're committed to it, you're putting in the amount of effort that you need to do, like anything in life. But unlike a lot of other trainings, I'm sure we've all been on trainings, whether it's work or personal, where we've bought something, we've done something, and maybe we've got distracted, we've not finished it, something's come along, and we never ever finished that thing. Now with this, clearly you still need to own it, you need to be responsible for it, but they will be encouraging you. They do want you to be successful, okay? They definitely do want you to be successful. They want you to help people. That is very much the ethos of the organisation and the people who work in it. You've got to own it. It's a collaborative effort, but you will be supported on that journey as you're learning. There is also, once you've qualified, a good community. There is a good community in terms of within the sort of formal structures of the organisation, in terms of Facebook groups and access to resources. But there also is externally, and again, especially if you've done that live event, building your own networks, building your own community where you learn, you grow with those people, and you maybe have meetups with people. That is something that is very much there. That's very, very, very much there. Now, piece of advice I would give you, I always say this to people, and there is a reality that when people decide they want to do something like RTT therapy, they're really excited about it. They want to learn this skill. They want to go out and do the healing, the change for other people that they've probably experienced themselves from having had the therapy themselves. They want to help people. But what I do say, I always advise this to people, this is more my opinion than maybe what you may get told on the course, or you may get told this on the course as well, is there comes a point in the course where you do know enough, where you've got the skills, and for a lot of people, they get that view, I need to learn more, I need to learn more, I need to train more, I need to be equipped more. But actually the course will equip you. But you get to that point before you finish doing all that training where you really need to also be giving time, and maybe even giving more time, to thinking about how you turn this new incredible skill, this capability that you've got, this ability to help others, into how you're actually going to be able to make that into a business, how you're going to be able to get the message out there. And so again, that's something that I help people a lot with, to help them make that transition from being a really capable, well-trained therapist to someone who's running a successful business. And again, that goes for any business. It's but people can lose sight of that. So that's why I really mention that. And I mention it again and again and again, because in a lot of ways, that's the hardest part of it. They will train you to be really good, but you need to make sure that you know how you're going to get clients, how you're going to run that business, how you're going to make the living, the lifestyle that you want to have. Because you can't help people if you're not making the money that you want to get. So I hope that's been useful. That's my first 5 points. I'm going to come up with my next 5 points in my next video, which will be out within the next few days. So subscribe or keep an eye out for it. I hope you really found this helpful. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask me, please do put them in the comments down below. I promise you I will answer all of your questions. If you've got any suggestions for things that you'd like to hear about, do that. And if you would like to discuss with me about how you can get yourself in that right place, again, I offer a free call for doing that, and I can discuss with you about how you can get yourself in the right place, a good enough place to do the training. But also I'm happy to answer any other questions that you've got one-to-one on that call about that you may have, that you may not want to ask in a public place about the training. So I'm Jonathan Butler from MyFitMind. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care now. Bye bye.